Hey guys, welcome back. Today what I'm focusing on is removing the alternator and the starter as I break down the engine. The focus is rebuilding the engine initially and we'll see where we go from there. So first thing I'm going to start is removing the alternator. There is a nut on the back and a bolt on the front. The back is 7/16 and the front one is 9/16. There we go. You want to be really careful because obviously the fan's right there. I'm going to support it with my hand and then my pinky's wrapped around the socket to keep it in place. Here we go. One alternator. I'm going to be removing the distributor next. That takes a 1/2 inch. Cool. Now that the alternator and the distributor are removed, I'm going to remove the radiator next. That way we have more room to remove the fan. There are 4 bolts total that connect the radiator to the front of the car, and they're all 1/2 inch sized. There's one. Alright, in order to remove the radiator, I had to remove the overflow tank just to get access to a screw/nut that's down below. So this is connected by 2 screws and a hose that connects all the way to the top of the radiator. This is a basic clamp, and then this one is too. I just need to loosen that with a flat head. I think it's sitting on the frame. Taking apart more of the engine this evening and focusing on the fan. There are 4 bolts and I'm using a 1/2 inch. So I'm going to go ahead and get started and remove it. There we go. So I'm labeling alternator belt. Guy off. There we go. Next what I'm going to be removing is the bracket that connects the water pump and the power steering pump. These first 2 here are 1/2 inch, these back 2 are 9/16. Right there. Number 1. There we go. 2C. And here comes the water pump. There are 3 bolts that connect that bottom pulley, so I'm going to go ahead and remove those now. I'm using a 9/16. There we go. Okay. Ugh, I remember it's like a teapot. There we go. Cup of tea? Today I'm working on removing the power steering pump. In order to do that, I'm just going to use this little blue thing to remove the hose, and then I will pull the hose off. And this extra piece of hose I'm going to shove onto that to help filter down the fluid down to the drip pan. Oh, there we go. You did it. Now that the power steering pump's out of the way, I'm going to work on taking the starter out. So there are 3 things that I'm going to have to remove, 1 nut and 2 bolts. So the first nut sits right here, and then here's the first bolt, and the second bolt is underneath on the other side. So I'm gonna have to jack the car up to get those out. Got a ratchet with a 9/16. Go ahead and remove that nut off the starter. Okay. Here it goes. You got it? Oh, this thing is so freaking heavy. And now what I have left to do is this timing chain cover, the dipstick. This over here, I'll remove the oil filter and then I'll pull the oil pan off. To drain the oil, it's going to be a 9/16. There we go. As the oil pan finishes draining, I'm going to go ahead and remove the timing chain cover. A little guy. It's another little guy. All right. How tiny. Oh, it's so small. Alrighty. Now I'm going to be removing, I think this is the oil pressure sensor. So there's a little 5/16 nut on that I'll be removing. Show you that. Of course. Ooh!
Face down.
There we go. I'm going to be using this magnet to remove all of my lifters. I'm going to be removing the Harmonic Balancer, and there's a large nut on the top, and it's a 15/16, so I'm going to be using my impact wrench to remove it. So I rented this Harmonic Balancer puller kit from O'Reilly's in order to remove it off of my Mustang so I can remove the timing cover. So this tool alone costs $25 to rent. You basically have it for 48 hours and then you return it and get your money back. They have a few different sets of these to measure what matches your vehicle. This is the size for my Mustang, so I'm going to go ahead and install it so I can show you how it works. Got it out. Oh, weird. Wow. Oh, the dipstick is caught. There we go. That's fascinating. How cool is that? Look at that, guys. That's insane. And here's the dipstick. As you can see, it comes through and that's what you're checking. Oh, and look at this. That's fascinating. I've never seen that before. So I just removed the timing chain cover and it's so cool to see inside and get a peek. Crankshaft and camshaft with the timing chain around it. So it looks almost like a bike chain that goes around, as you can see right here. All right, let's get this thing off. So this is a 9/16 that I'm using for right here. Okay, nice. Ah, this thing just comes right off. Alright, so we have the puller attached to the bottom gear. It's a 3/4 socket right here that we have the Ryobi attached to. See how it's moving? Alright, we're now hooked up to the top gear right here, so let's go ahead and pull that one. Here we go. Ooh, nice. Pull this Oh, the chain's coming out. Nice. That's pretty cool. So here's what we got going on. First of all, I jacked the Mustang up a bit so that we're off. I have a little space. What I also did for setup, let me turn it so you guys can see. I always like to put some pads down just so I'm comfortable. As you can see, that big blue oil pan is what I'm going to be focused on removing. The tools today, I'm using 7/16 and a half because the corners are a half and then I think along the sides are all 7/16. I have an extension and I'll be using my Ryobi. Wee! Got one more. Hello. Sweet, everything's out. Alright, let's get this thing out of here. Go out and I'll get it. There we go. Oh, cool. Wow. That's so sweet. Look at all that. That is so sweet to look up inside. How cool. So, see how that's all moving like molasses? That's really old oil. Hey everyone, I just wanted to come on here and share a few things. The first thing, I didn't take into account that you have to remove the cross member in order to remove the oil pan. I thought I was able to kind of shift it out, but yeah, you definitely need to remove the cross member. The second thing I wanted to mention was renting tools from O'Reilly Auto Parts. These tools I might only use once or twice, but I was able to pay only $25, rent the tool for 48 hours, and once I brought the tool back, I got my money back. So it's essentially free. Stay tuned for part 3 of my engine demo series, where I'm going to be removing the pistons, the block, the camshaft, and the crankshaft. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next week.